What is up, RetroManiacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. You know, they say you can't win them all, but I'm living proof that you can, because I win the Who Has the Best Co-Hosts and Podcasts award every week. It's a company award, but still, I win it every single week because of these two guys. They are, of course, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, boys?
It's a company award.
We're employees of the month, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I win the Who Has the Best Co-Host award, which, you know, you guys are good, but I win the award, clearly.
Oh my God, that just made my day. Good night, everyone.
I got nothing else. I'm glad I could pop the boys, as they say. But how's it going, guys? Well, what's new and exciting?
Okay. So I said last week, I always do this around this time of year. I detox for like a month. A friend of mine came over last night who I hadn't seen in forever. She brought a couple bottles of champagne.
At least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks.
A couple months, pal.
Okay.
All right.
Joe has the itch. She's like, hey, could you come over?
Could you come over? I haven't seen you in a couple months. Drink champagne. So she brought over a couple bottles of champagne. This is practically detoxing. We only drank like a bottle and a half between the two of us. I think that's pretty impressive. But I had a half a bottle left, and I can't let champagne go to waste. So I made a little mimosa.
Just a little one.
Mimosa.
A little mimosa. Yeah. Champagne.
For the audio podcast listeners, very small drink there that he's drinking.
Yeah, it's practically in one of those little, things. The
like
champagne
a shot glass
flutes.
Almost. Yeah.
Practically. But yeah. So I'm feeling good now. EP, you going to join me as always?
Yep, absolutely. I got some field study from their summer IPA from Trogs.
You haven't had any of the Trogs I brought you yet, have you?
I mean, we can't have there's some beer that we're saving for
There is some beer that we are saving. That's not the Trogs, though. You can have that. Speaking of which, I have on my to-do list to ask you boys, when are we doing a live stream? We got to get one on the books. People are clamoring.
I don't know. We're recording, so I'm not going to commit to anything at this point in time because people hold me to it.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Nope. Definitely not Tuesday
night.
We'll do one soon. We'll do one.
Yeah. Okay.
They're special. We have to, you can't be doing them all the time or they wouldn't be special, right?
Do them special for you. Special. In the words of Jack Black.
How's it going, EP?
I'm doing good. Set up at a card show yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I know anything about this. I mean,
you sat there for like 90% of the card show with me at the table. Well, no, you were at the show for like 90% of the show. You sat with me at the table when you weren't out making your rounds with everybody. But I had
spending all my money.
Yeah. Right. I had a great time. By 8:30 a.m. I had all of my table fees paid. I had somebody buy a $20 slab and then buy 50 packs for me for $40. So that paid for my two tables, and so everything else was gravy on top of that.
Packed it up and went home.
I did not. I stayed all day and I had a blast. I didn't make as much money as I did at the last show. And there was some other people said that one guy, Card Show Kevin, I believe he said he made like half what he normally does. But it was fun. We had a fun group there. He actually asked to move closer to me, so we had our little wing of the show was pretty awesome. And but yeah, that was pretty good. I talked to a lot of people about cards. There were two people who walked up to the show, and they walked up, and the older gentlemen, and they both said, like, one guy said he was setting up for the first time the next day, which was Sunday, at the flea market for the first time ever, going to set up and sell some of his cards. Another guy said that he had been looking around for cases, and the second guy had to be like probably 60s is generous, probably closer to 70. And he's like, I'm setting up, was looking for a case, trying to find a case to be able to set up at shows. And just like a really cool moment to see that and see people. And I was talking to the guy that was going for the first time. I said, you're going to have a blast, just to enjoy it. It's so fun to be on the other side of the table and talking to everybody as they come up and look at your stuff. So,
did you tell the people that were looking for a case that those kids make cases? Or
I put a sign out in front of my case saying that let me know, and then I always point to the guys right next to, because they asked to sit right next to me. So yeah,
EP's popular. Awesome. Everybody wants to be by EP.
Is. I mean, who would? He's a great.
I mean, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that I always hang out at EP's table, right?
Oh my God, it's not a competition.
Yes, it is.
Jesus.
It's literally a popularity contest.
James and Bill both said that I might be one of the most popular dealers at the show because everybody's asking to sit next to me. They kind of want to sit next to me, so it was pretty good. It was
pretty fun. I've said this to you before. I've never set up at a show either. Sometime when I'm in town, I'm going to bring a couple of boxes. Set up,
definitely.
That I think that'd be a blast.
Yes, 100%.
I don't care about actually making many sales, but
do I have to be part of this?
Well, I assumed you were just going to walk and just buy everyone's other tables and then just bring them back and sit them on EP and I's and sell.
That's probably more likely than me actually setting up.
Yeah.
I try sometimes. Yeah,
it is a long day, and I got there. I think a little bit before 8, so it makes for a long day. But it is a lot of fun to spend an entire day talking to people about cards and about the card, the industry and that sort of stuff. Just it's a lot of fun.
A long day, I call bullshit. You work 16-hour days at a newspaper. This is probably nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing compared to that.
And I brought him a coffee. I
offered
to bring him a mod pizza, but he didn't want it.
That coffee was so appreciated. You have no idea. Like I said, I did not have anything to. I think did I have coffee before? I don't think I had coffee before.
You said you had like a half a cup or something.
No, that was this morning. That was Sunday morning. No, I had a soda on the way to the show, and then that coffee, and that was all I had for the entire day until I got home. So it was very
smart. That's how you do it. Well, before we get to you, Joe, I want to throw out a little bit of an apology to our friend EP down on the bottom there. Now, he wasn't right. Don't take this wrong. We weren't wrong. He wasn't right. But PSA did grade 4,209 Caitlin Clark cards in March. We kind of made fun of him a little bit last week because she has so few cards. The 5th place person when you were guessing was LeBron with 8.2 thousand. So she had a lot of cards graded. So we did make fun of him because she didn't have enough to be in the top 5. And clearly that was a dumb thing to say, but it wasn't a dumb thing to say.
What a backhanded apology. I love it.
It was a dumb thing to say, but it wasn't? What does that mean?
Well, at the time it was dumb.
And to be fair, he did say clearly number 1. He said clearly number 1. That was a dumb thing to say. But
so,
okay.
And our whole point in that whole thing was she just doesn't have a lot of cards. Like everyone could grade every single card she has out. She just doesn't have that many cards out.
She was still 6th
or whatever.
That makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Did we say she was 6th?
No, I didn't say she was 6th. Well, I just said she was that far behind 5th. So
7th then.
Right.
But it was kind of crazy. They graded 23 of her cards in May of 2023, and then they graded 4,000 and some in March of 2024.
Those people that graded their cards in May of 2023 are probably thinking, shit, I better not have sold them in April of 2023, right?
Exactly.
Crazy.
So Joe, what's going on with you? I saw a video on the channel yesterday that all this stuff, you've been doing all these videos about trading up for Tom Brady. You had the big reveal, you got the 2 autograph cards, and then there was this little to be continued at the end of that last video, some very ominous music playing in the background. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there with like a 5-figure card in your hands yesterday. What in the hell is going on?
I'm not going to spoil it for the viewers. Go and watch that show. It dropped yesterday on Sunday. I'm not going to spoil it, but let's say this will contend to be my best card in my collection. It's probably contending to be the best card in my collection. So
definitely a contender.
It's a contender for sure. So definitely go check out that video. But joking aside, I think I can check it off of my New Year's resolution list with a bullet, right? I definitely did exactly what I was going to do when I made that New Year's resolution about kind of moving into a big Brady card. It's crazy. I say this in the video probably 2 or 3 times. It's dumb. It's crazy. It's stupid. It's silly. Hashtag blessed. But like, I mean, it's an awesome card. I love having it. That's what more can I say? Go watch the video. Comment. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I did the right thing? I'd love to hear other people's opinions on this. But yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
How about our opinions, EP? He wants to hear other people's opinions. Let's give him ours.
Well, EP would have to watch the video first off.
I haven't watched the video, but I have seen the card though. I have seen the card in person.
Yeah. Okay.
And
let's hear your opinions, boys.
I personally like. I'm happy, so happy for you. Like that's amazing. Like you to be able to accomplish that, and do this something that and turn it into content for us. And like I just I'm very happy for you. And I don't have any desire to get any cards like that myself, but I know that was something that you wanted to do, and it's definitely like I mean the word Grail is a thing, and this definitely fits. Like it fits all the definitions and all the criteria you can set out for a Grail card. So. Congratulations, my dude.
Appreciate it.
I'm happy for you too. And you'll find out, I have no hobby jealousy if you watch Wednesday's video.
Right.
But at the same time, I have to ask, should you really be on this podcast anymore? I mean, you are now the people that we talk about all the time.
That's fair.
And you're now that person. I feel like you need to have a trial. We should put him on trial. AP. What do you think?
Wait. I think he's not there yet. If this contenders card ends up on his Twitter account 10 times a week, and he just keeps talking about contender cards,
I don't think it's been. Whoa! Don't spoil it. Whoa!
Oh wait, you said it was contender. I think you said it was contender. It was a contender. You said it was contender for.
It was definitely a contender for the greatest card.
I'm sorry. If this Brady card that is a contender to be the greatest in his collection, if this makes it on his Twitter account 10 times a week for like the next 3 or 4 weeks, then we need to really start thinking.
Hasn't even been on once.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Into the wrong guy. Who is this guy?
So what I will say to kind of defend myself, right? I actually, say what you will, I had more fun opening up a case of Picard cards. I did.
I was going to say your defense is show us all your binders. Show us your binders of your 1992 Marvel, which I mean they're worth not even $1 a piece, right? So
right, like
that's your defense.
And I'm dead serious when I say I opened up a case of Picard. We put one of the boxes on the channel. I'm going to do like a recap video for Thursday. I'm going to do a giveaway too, everyone. So if you would like a free set of Picard cards, check the video out on Thursday. But Mike definitely doesn't. He's not eligible anyway. It's a company award. So it's not a company award. But like, as I opened up that case and started to try to put a master set together, I'm like, I really want to do, this is my priority now. Like, being able to put a complete master set of Picard cards together. That's kind of that's my goal. And like, as much as awesome as it is to have that card that we're not spoiling, talk about that. As much as I love that card, and it is truly my Grail card, I had a blast opening up that Picard stuff. If you have an opportunity to open up a case of anything, EP and I talked about this before we started recording. If you have an opportunity to open up a case of anything that you really, really like, do it. Especially non-sports, or in EP's case with the Topps flagship, kind of low end, like cheaper to open up. If you have that opportunity, take it.
I mean, if you have a ridiculous amount of money and you can open up a $10,000 case,
right,
feel like that, do that too. Just understand, like it's probably like right. You're not going to make your money back on probably a $10,000 case where like you have a chance of making it back on this one. And I think, Joe, you probably think that you're going to make at least half your money back on.
If I was going to sell everything that I got out of that Picard case, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the video. If I was going to sell everything, I would probably break even. Which in this world
2024,
of hobbying, like that's freaking impressive. So I would take that every single time. But I just had a blast, and I was telling the boys before we started recording too, I was expecting Wolverine Fleer Ultra to come out in the next couple of weeks. I just looked today. They actually pushed it back till June, maybe to coincide with the movie release, Deadpool Wolverine. I don't know, but they pushed it back. And now I'm sitting here going, well, I thought I was going to open up a case of that. Now I have this free time. Do I get another case of a card? That'd be stupid. But I kind of want to. I'm not going to.
You
Check
might.
in next week, but I might.
I feel like the check-in next week is an ominous thing to say.
Check in next week.
So too. I have one question for you, though. Now that all the Brady videos are done, the reveal video was out there, the extra reveal video yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to get your chair back in the corner where it's supposed to be?
I was thinking about that this morning. I mean, yesterday morning this morning before we started recording, Monday morning before we started recording, I'm like, I really need to rearrange. So that is on my to-do list, everyone. So by next week, this one shelf is still probably going to be empty. I don't know what to put up there because I really only have one card.
Have anything.
It's just going to be that card by itself.
Wow.
But I'm going to do some rearranging. But yes, I will get back in the normal spot here in the next week or two maximum.
And we'll record it so everybody can see how OCD you are with trying to get it in the right spot.
half an hour just trying
at least. That might be an hour this time.
I really might be.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I just wanted to throw out before we get started here too. Congratulations to Bo Thompson, 1 million Cubs. Did you see that EP?
I did.
Finished
awesome.
the 1 million Cubs project and
yes.
got to do it at Wrigley Field with the Cubs, and Topps made him a card of himself.
Didn't he throw out the first pitch?
Did. And Topps made him a card of himself for the 1 millionth card. So.
A one of one. Like that was like, you know what? Like that is how you end up on a card. Right.
Yeah.
Like that is how you.
That should be hobby, the type of people that end up on a card. Yeah.
Like, because I mean, that was such an amazing thing. I watch his shows every once in a while, and I was watching a couple this week, and one of his shows, he talked about, this is right after it was done, and he was talking about how he's going to list Cubs cards on eBay. Like, he's a huge seller on eBay. He sells like he's always like turning stuff out. He's one of the big sellers. But because he was trying to get to 1 million. He never sold any Cubs cards. So he's like, I'm going to actually list some Cub cards for the first time ever since he had his channel on eBay. It was pretty funny. Got a pretty good laugh out of his people in his chat. So
I gotta say, you kind of alluded to it, Mike. These are the type of people that should have cards in Topps Big League, not Jeff Wilson, not Card Collector 2, not people I never even heard of in this last iteration of it. Like, 1 million Cubs should have his own card. It should have been the 101 version of his card that should be in Topps Big League. The fact that it's not, ridiculous. We talk about some of the people in this hobby and, how they're not as appreciated as they should be. He's up there. You've got Baseball Card Collector, Investor Dealer. He's up there. Like, there's a lot of people that just aren't appreciated that should be in this hobby. And it's a real shame. And we get to a Jeff Wilson card. Cool. We get a Ryan Card Collector 2 card. Cool. Like, I don't know. Just silliness.
It is. All right. Well, let's get into it because we have a lot to talk about, gentlemen.
This might be our 3-hour pod everyone's been waiting for.
We've talked numerous times going back to episode number 1 about Fanatics wanting to run their own shows. This week, first Fanatics event for sports cards was announced. It is going to be held at the Javits Center in New York City, August 16th through the 18th. And let me read this verbatim here. It'll have interactive features, multiple stages and theaters, exclusive merch, major announcements, and more, designed to celebrate and elevate modern sports fandom in all its forms. I have no idea what the hell that means, but it's going to be a pretty big sports version of a Comic-Con, and it's going to be held in New York City not too long after the National, which will be kind of interesting. General admission tickets will be $50 for an adult. Tom Brady is supposed to be there. Peyton and Eli Manning going to be there. Derek Jeter is going to be there. Sabrina Ionescu is going to be there. Kevin Durant, Hulk Hogan, all kinds of people are going to be there.
Go ahead, John. Wait a minute. Jeter's going to be there. And Fanatics wants to buy a grading company.
You heard it here
okay,
first.
Probably. Yeah. You heard it here first. That'd be hysterical. I would die.
I mean, if you buy, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Thoughts. Give us your thoughts, CP.
That was just going to be an aside, and I heard this on Mojo Breaks podcast. But if you're going to buy a grading company, you could buy something like Arena Club and then just change the name of it to Fanatics Grading, and not like you could not buy Beckett or you could not buy SGC and change their name to Fanatics, but you could buy a smaller company and take all their assets and turn it into Fanatics Grading, right?
So what all the
in theory
police do now, right? Just buy it and
right. In theory,
instead of making it right.
Yeah, I think they're too small to do what they want to do on the scale they want to do it. But back to the Fanatics events. What are your initial thoughts? Let me hear
it. We talked about this. I'm not going to take another drink. What EP? What are you?
You shrugged your shoulders. I was like, I'm just waiting. That's it. I chuckled because you shrugged your shoulders. Like, one of those.
So I'm not going to take another sip, but we talked about this in episode 1. Michael Rubin has been talking about having a Comic-Con since that interview with Bill Simmons. So that's just another check mark that you can put next to kind of that to-do list that he's had. I'm not going to step on Mike's hot takes, which comes out Wednesday. Me and EP fight a little bit. It's a blast.
What?
I know it's our usual fight too. We're like a married couple who has that one fight that they always have.
that one topic that
really, really just gets us going. But my questions are, one, is this going to be something that moves around? Like when someone says Comic-Con, they think of the San Diego Comic-Con. They just do. There are multiple Comic-Cons for sure. Steel City Con was just this past week, I believe. Like, there are multiple Comic-Cons, but San Diego is the one. It's always in San Diego. Is that what's going to happen here? Is the big one going to be in New York, right? Is it always going to be in New York? If so, I think there's going to be a lot of folks who are like, well, we're out in California. I don't know if we're going to be making the trek all the way to New York every year to do this. I'm also curious on how much of it is cards, how much of it is apparel, how much of it is gambling, like how much of it is actually cards and collectibles. I don't know if they say anything in that, Mike, or is it just strictly
by the wording of it? Like, no, it's not strictly a card show. It's an event. Like I think you're going to have clothing, you're going to have cards, you're going to have a little bit of everything there. It's not going to be limited to just cards. It's not going to be a card show.
So that, going back to the whole, right after the national thing, I think this is going to be an experience, right? Like if we go to it, we'll go to it once, but I don't think it's something that we would go to every year and be like, hey, let's find some cards and sit at dollar boxes, right? EP.
People go to Comic-Con every year though.
They do. But I'm saying us specifically. Do you see us going to this every year?
I don't know. Go ahead, EP. I'll save my opinions, but I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a little excited about it too. Like to a couple of your points, Joe, to start with, Michael Rubin has a lot of friends in high places. In a lot of places, I don't think it's just going to stay in New York. It's going to be in Atlanta. It's going to be in.
I think you'll California. See them like maybe
not
up all over the country. Like it won't be just a yearly thing like the national is. I think you will see these shows taking place in different parts of the country at different times of the year. I think that would be pretty clear with that.
Yeah, and I think it's New York City this year, partially because the national is in the middle of the country. You know what I mean? So like it's probably easier for people from California to get to the compared to like New Jersey or whatever. But I feel like, and New York City is also like this the city that never sleeps, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like you're really you're really playing to that. And I feel like this is I realize that he's trying to grow the hobby 10x in the value, but also this is going to generate a lot of interest in cards and interest in the hobby, obviously interest in their apparel and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it is a card show plus. It's not going to be just a card show, but a card show plus where cards are a very big part of it. and Topps cards in general, but they're they're going to have the different theaters and stuff for breaking. There's going to be a lot of that sort of stuff going on during the show, I think, and I think there's going to be a pretty large focus on the card part of it. So that's I like Mike started to say, and I interrupted him. Like I'm excited about it too. Like I really think that if it works out like a Comic-Con and it turning into that, I'm all for that. I'm okay with that. I don't want this to just be our little tiny little hobby. I want everybody to enjoy it the way we enjoy it.
I one point before you go, Mike, just specifically to the point about it's going to be mostly a card show, I think is how you say that, EP. I disagree. I think it'll be mostly a gambling venue. I think they're going to be talking a lot about the different gambling, not just gambling, like gambling in cards.
Right, but in 2024, that's
I don't think it's going to be
one half dozen
card
another
show per se. I really don't think it's going to be people bellying up to dollar boxes. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that's what they're going to have there. We know what type of store Michael Rubin wants, right? We know it's Cards HQ. Yes, they do have dollar boxes there. That is not the draw. The draw is the really cool cases. The draw is the breaking, things like that. So I think that's what you'll see. You're not going to see the mall card show you were just at, right? You're not going to see that type of stuff there. You're going to see high-end stuff.
Yeah, well, it's not designed to replace the local card show, though. Like, they're different.
Or the national. I mean, how many dollar boxes did you guys? I
think it's a little designed to replace the national. I think it aspires to be the national. I think.
Yeah.
I think that the local card show and the national are completely different things. Like, I don't see them as the same thing. Like the national, I mean, we were there. It's pretty much a whole bunch of people selling basically the same stuff. Like, yeah, some's vintage, some's, ultra modern and stuff. But like, how many tables had high-end Brady rookies? How many tables had high-end vintage and Mickey Mantle cards? Like, just all over the place. So like, it's really a different thing. And I feel like these are more designed to, like those are overkill. Like you have 50 different vendors there selling the same graded vintage cards. Like we felt a little bit of that. Like this is just like too much kind of thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know, like at a Comic-Con, like how that works with like comics. Can you buy comics? How do they have it set up? Like I've never been to one, so I don't really know how that works. So I'm figuring that there will be a card show area of this, I'm assuming. But like, I don't know if the choice comes down to just going to the national, like take everything else out of it, but give it time that instead of just going to that show that's been the same forever, this is something different. It's fun. It's unique. It's interactive. Like I can see a lot of people, if they have to choose between one or the other, over time deciding to go to that. Like I said it when we started talking about this in the first podcast. I think it's fun. I like the idea. I'm all for it.
And if they have,
I'm not against it. I'm just saying I don't think it's like just straight up a card event. I think
it's not just a card event. I mean, but it's like EP said, like card plus. Like you're gonna be able to fulfill the card part of it, but then do a whole lot more and have a much better experience than just going to a card show.
It's going to be like a mini national. My take. My feeling on it is a mini national with even more of the non-card stuff on top of it. And if they can bring that to Philly and Atlanta and all these places, people are going to want to go to, like, we're going to go to the Philly show. Like, and it's going to save us on a trip. So if they, well, I mean, I'm saying though, like,
EP will go because Joe doesn't want to.
But I mean,
he doesn't want to have fun.
Like if you
that's me. That's me. Doesn't want to have fun. Sure. But
if they have one in Dallas and then they have one in Atlanta and they have one in New Orleans, they have them in all these major cities. It's going to be easier.
Now that I would go to Philly, whatever. We can go to
New Orleans or Las Vegas.
If it's in New Orleans or Vegas, let's go to that one. Let's start driving now, Mike, because I know you won't fly. Let's start driving now. I mean, the Philly one, sure. If they did a Philly one, I'm sure we would go.
Right.
But yeah, if we're going to go for an experience, let's go someplace someplace else. If you guys want to go to the New York one, I'm game. Legit. I'm legit game. If you guys want to go to the New York one this year, I absolutely would. Yeah,
my point is though that if proximity is a thing for a lot of people, they're not going to go to a show in Chicago because of how far away they are, or even in New Jersey, depending on how far away it is. But if there is a show within a 4-hour drive of where they are, like one of these major shows, they might go for the first time, might experience.
It's going to be interesting about like Burbank obviously is all the way in the West Coast. I'm curious what kind of presence they'll have. Like there's a lot of folks, cards and comics, and we had Very Gary Comics on the channel at this point, over a year ago, and he sets up at a lot of shows. The problem is he only really can set up shows that are within driving distance because comics take up a lot of space. He'll fill up that U-Haul and start driving. He's never set up at San Diego, and they do have comic books there. They do have comic book stands set up there, but he's not going to drive out there because he lives in New Jersey, and there's no way he's going to drive a U-Haul all the way across country and set up. It's just not worth it. So if they do this thing where they're going to have it in multiple places, sure, I think it would be great. I just don't think this one right here in New York, I don't think you're going to get a lot of the West Coast people. And the West Coast people complain about where the National is every year. So if they're complaining about where the National is, if they're going to do this Fanatics Events thing, they need to have it somewhere out west, somewhere central, maybe somewhere south. They need to do that. It absolutely cannot just be in New York.
Well, especially if the National is just going to be in Chicago every year, like there's some people have said or whatever. Like this gives people an option.
Not Chicago,
like different places or whatever. Or where
it's at the Rosemont. That's not Chicago.
Well, I mean, if they're talking about doing that every year there, but if that's another cap and a feather and
I completely agree.
Like they can move it around and have 100%. Different places and get those people that don't want to go.
I'm sure they 100%. Will. And you laugh about Philly and stuff, but Fanatics ran the WWE live event this past week for WrestleMania week in Philadelphia.
I preferred it when it was Chef Boyardee, Mike.
I mean, it got rave reviews though. Like
I'm sure.
They had all kinds of the wrestlers there. People could meet them. They could get autographs. So kind of looking at that as maybe kind of a template for what they might do. Like I'm excited for what they can do with this kind of thing for our hobby.
I'm not making fun of Philly as a location for that. I think it would be a great location.
Not a destination. You said it wasn't a destination. We have so many good memories there, and you don't call it a destination.
What I meant was Philly's there. I mean, we can go to Philly anytime for anything. I think it would be fun if it was like EP said, maybe it'll be in New Orleans, maybe it'll be in Atlanta, maybe it'll be in Vegas. I mean, let's do a trip. I think that would be fun. EP, would it be fun?
It would be fun, but the point is though, like if it's within 4 hours of a certain super group of people that can't
actually go.
So, well,
yeah, it's a shame you don't fly, Mike. It is a shame you don't fly.
Even if I did, I don't know that I'm flying to Las Vegas to go to this. If I could drive to New York City to go to it.
Dudes, road trip to Vegas.
Oh, dudes, I'm in.
I mean, I have nothing against Vegas. If I want to go to Vegas, I'd go to Vegas. Like, I'm not going to Vegas for this. I'm driving to New York City.
2-week vacation. Let's do it.
Get out of here.
Okay, let's get you guys on the record now. I'll go. You guys in?
To Vegas?
No, New York. I'm in. Let's do it.
I would go to New York. We could even go for a day. That's close enough. Like
when is the what is the time frame? What's the
It is August 16th through the 18th.
I probably could. That's getting close to football season, for high school football season, but I think it's still within
not high school football season yet.
Well, I'm saying it's getting close to it, but I think
it should be okay. And see, just go for a day trip just to check it out. Like, because I mean, we're a little over 2 hours from New York City here, so
I'll drive to you guys.
Yeah,
head up. We'll figure out the details when we go.
We will figure that out when we're not recording a podcast that we have a lot to get to. How about that? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Everyone appreciates all of this.
All right. Well, last week we talked a little bit about the potential of eBay purchasing Goldin. Guess what eBay's doing? They're purchasing Goldin. No surprise, because the info had leaked before last week, but there are more details about it this week. And kind of interesting, part of the deal is that the eBay vault will now be going to PSA. As well, you will be able to send your cards to PSA, get them graded, put them in the PSA vault, and sell them on eBay right from the PSA vault. Kind of the same thing they were doing with Goldin, but now it opens up a way bigger world to be able to sell cards with. I gotta say, as much as maybe the consolidation and stuff in the hobby isn't always good, I don't mind this. I feel like this could be a good thing.
I mean, it's not a bad thing for us because I don't think any of us really care who owns Goldin. Like, who are we sending cards to Goldin auction? Like us.
Well,
I'm talking about the PSA part of it, like the PSA
that's
with eBay. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Goldin part of it really doesn't mean anything to, I don't think, collectors like us, because we're not generally buying or selling on Goldin. So that whatever, whoever owns that, whatever. The PSA part is really, really good because, and I think I mentioned it last week, like eBay and PSA already had a relationship with the authentication process for slab cards. So it doesn't shock me that in this deal to buy Goldin that they work something out to mutually benefit both companies. I mean, it's one of those things like in a football trade where it almost makes so much sense you are shocked that it happened. And this makes a lot of sense for both of them. I think it'll raise it for both companies, and it'll be a benefit to collectors, or, you know, we hate the term, but flippers would use this service, I'm guessing, quite a bit.
Yeah. Speaking of words we hate, it's a real word. Synergy is a real word, but this is like the perfect combination of for these two groups, right? Like it's everything's going to work out perfectly. I mean, this is a match made in heaven, right? So,
of course, nothing could ever go wrong.
Well, I didn't say that. Whoa. Pump the brakes.
But I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You were able to sell stuff like right from PSA on Goldin. Goldin, not really sure what eBay is going to do with it, but it kind of feels like that's going to be their high-end collectible.
What we said last week.
Site. Yeah. I saw one industry analyst was talking about how eBay doesn't sell a lot of six-figure and up memorabilia and stuff, and that Goldin will probably be used with that. And, you know, we talked a few weeks ago about Sports Card Dad talking about maybe having a buyer's premium. Maybe this is part of that aspect of it, the higher end stuff on Goldin. But I mean, to be like, I've never used the PSA vault. Like, I wanted the cards, but now I might consider keeping it there and putting them on eBay right from there. If I'm grading something that I want to sell, I might do that. Like, cuts out me as the middleman, and like it's supposed to be easy to just take it and list it on eBay from the vault. I know there are a lot of issues with doing that directly from the eBay vault, so hopefully they'll be able to work out those issues. Like, there was something with not being able to change the title, and some of the titles didn't really match the card, so hopefully they can get that stuff worked out. But I mean, I might actually use this sometime in the future.
And hopefully there's no like return issues either, because eBay always tends to side with the buyer on pretty much everything. So if it's like going to be at the PSA vault and you're selling it from there, there shouldn't be any issues with a seller going, or I'm sorry, a buyer going, well, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't exactly what it should be. You know, like, I would hope that cuts that part out of it too, because we've all seen that before. So yeah, it'd be interesting, Mike. I mean, if you do it, definitely record a video of it.
Yeah,
show us how it's done.
I'm shocked. I wouldn't. There's no way I would do that. Like, why not just deal in NFTs at this point? If you're never gonna actually like have the card, send it in to PSA. PSA takes care of all of it, and you never see it again. Like, that aggravates me. Also, I don't know if it's on your list, but the percentages they're charging people to sell cards out of there. Yeah. All right.
But before I get to that, let me just ask you though.
Yeah.
If you have a card and you send a PSA and it comes back at 10 and you're going to sell it. Like once you sell that and send it off, you don't have it anymore anyway, right? So
That's
really,
true.
what's the difference? Like you're just cutting out them sending it back to me and then me having to list it and ship it to send it somewhere where I'm never going to see it again. I don't understand why that would be any different.
I guess I like the listing and shipping part of it more than you guys do. So,
whoa! First off, don't throw me into that. Don't throw me.
I'm sorry, more than Mike does. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Right, because I actually kind of agree with EP on this one crazily. I said way back in episode 1, I said at a certain point when there's vaults and everything, at what point are we just dealing in NFTs? Like it doesn't feel the same. I get your point, Mike, where you're saying, well, if I'm going to sell it anyway, what's the difference? I don't know. I just like having the cards in hand regardless. I mean, it's silly. It doesn't make any sense. I get that, but there's just something to it to have those cards and be surprised by the reveal.
Well, you had them before you sent them in, so
the reveal.
Why do you have to get them back?
Because the collector brain, my sick collector brain, like I want to have that back before I sell it to somebody.
And Joe, you could just screen record your phone and go into the app and do a reveal
on
those there.
Reveals. I do not like those reveals.
Not a big fan either. Yep.
Yeah, we both like Little Victories EP. When he does those, I really don't watch them.
I watch it, but it's on, but I don't actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, EP alluded to the fees. To sell from PSA, it's going to be 16% fee if your card's under $100, 14% if it's $100 to $499, and 13% if it is $500 to $999. Doesn't say what it is if it's over $1,000. I did notice that with a $5 minimum fee. So you would have to sell a card that was like at least $32 to be able to make sure you hit the actual percentage they're taking. I mean, it's going to save you some time. That's really not 3% over what you're paying on eBay now. Like, is it really that big of a deal?
For us, probably more of a big deal than someone who that's their job, right? If you're constantly grading and flipping, then this would be great. Like if that was the way that I collected or the way that I hobbied, like, sure, that would be awesome. I don't think the percentage is that bad. You might get even more eyeballs on it at that point. I don't know. There's probably an algorithm situation involved where if you go through them, maybe you get a better.
No.
Right.
No, that would never happen. Never happen.
No. But, so you're probably that extra couple percentages, will work out in the wash because you probably won't have to promote it, right? The algorithm will do it for you. So the percentage does not bother me, especially if that was my model of doing the hobby. If it was buying, grading, flipping, I think that percentage is well within reason.
Yeah, for sure. But also you talk about that algorithm thing, and now that's like one of those scary things in the hobby, right? Where they're like all of a sudden now this thing you can. So if you do the algorithm, like so you sell through the vault, you sell through the vault, and you promote it, they sell for this so much more. Like I really like it feels like the kind of thing where it's like, well, a card company shouldn't also own a grading company because then they're going to get special treatment. Like that starts to feel a little shaky to me. Feel a little
I mean, stuff like that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Stuff like that happens in every facet of almost every hobby. I mean, yeah. So these comic books I sent off to CSS to be graded. They came back way higher than I thought they should have, to be honest. CSS to be pressed and cleaned. And then CGC graded them. CSS is their pressing cleaning company. One of the better known, one of the smarter pressing, cleaning, grading guys I watch on YouTube sent his to CSS. He saw flaws in them after they got back, but they still graded super high. And he's like, I think it's because they went through CSS. So I think it happens not just in cards, happens in comics, happens in collectibles all over the place. If you use that synergy EP, it will probably benefit you. And that's what's going to push more people to do it. I mean, from a business point of view, super smart.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if they
denying
know
that.
you're sending it to the vault, they'll grade your card higher.
Oh gosh, you're right.
You want to go conspiracy theory? There you go. Let's
Huh?
go all in.
Everything's in the vaults of 10, baby.
Hey, well, they're going to put it in the vault. We're going to make money off this. Maybe we should make it a 10. I'm just saying there would be financial incentive, not only for an upcharge, but if you're going to give that card a 10 and you know it's going to the vault where they could sell it on eBay and you get part of the fees, I'm sure you're splitting with eBay. You're probably getting the above eBay fees. I don't know.
Another potential conspiracy. Are non-PSA slabs going to be kind of shadow banned a little bit on eBay? I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to go through this whole AI algorithm,
not SGC because they're owned by PSA.
That's actually a good point.
And the others are all pretty much shadow banned themselves.
Right. They've done a good job of shadow banning themselves. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
We talk about the eBay 101 and we make fun of that, like that thing whenever that thing originated, where we're going to end up with a Vault 10.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, this is a Vault 10. So like 20 years from now, like, oh, Vault 10, like that's a good thing. But it's actually just people say
Vault 10 remember direct issue versus newsstand issue? It's going to be like something like that.
Think about it, though. You know, your Vault 10 compared to that guy who's handling and doing God knows what with that slab that's a 10. Where would you rather have it? The one in the vault. You know that one's clean. You don't know. Like, think about that. You don't really think about what the person who had the card before you might have done with it. I'm just saying.
Moving on,
Joe. Moving on. Okay.
I'm not saying anything because we're going to get demonetized if I start going down this road. So let's just move on.
We will take a turn here. In more PSA news, Nat Turner caused a little bit of a stir on social media. There was a person, go figure, there was a person complaining about a grade that they got on their card from PSA. It was, I don't know, it was a new Prism card or something. It was something new.
It was a Prism Monopoly.
Monopoly.
The reason I remember this is because Ziggy also got a bad grade on the same grade. He got a PSA 6. So that's how I remember it was Monopoly.
So the person got a PSA 6 and was like, how did this card get a 6? It's a 10. Clearly, it's a 10. And apparently Nat Turner actually messaged him on Twitter and said that the grader's note said that it had a bend in the top edge. Grader's notes? What? What in the world is going on? So, of course, by the next day, we saw people saying how PSA announced that they were going to
that same dude who I got that said that. He's like, oh, yeah, it's announced. Yeah. Wasn't that the same dude?
It wasn't announced, but clearly they do have some kind of notes there, and clearly Nat has access to it. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am a little surprised that he actually mentioned the grader's notes. Like, we always kind of assumed they had to have something there, right?
Yeah.
But for him to actually admit to somebody that they have them and he's able to look at it and see what was wrong with the card, I was quite surprised by.
And it wasn't like a super high-end 101. Like, sure, it was a gold out of 10, but it was Monopoly gold out of 10. It's not like...
It's Monopoly money, not real
money. Right. But it's not like... If they're doing it for this card, then they probably have grader's notes for pretty much every card, right? Which they should. I mean, at least something. And the first thing I do want to say, though, is say what you will about Nat Turner, say what you will about collectors. Nat Turner is an actual collector. Nat Turner is super aggressive on social media, responding to people, tagging him or not. If he sees something PSA related, he is more than happy. He does it way better than that Tyler Hint guy from HGA used to do. But he does. I mean, he is reaching out to people. I remember someone tagged him in one of my posts. I think it was US Sports Cards, tagged Nat, and Nat jumped into the conversation. I mean, it was hysterical, but he's someone who is willing to go out and do that. And I actually really do appreciate that level of collector.
He DM'd me when I had my issue.
He DM'd you when you had your issue, right? So
and
he's
gave
not
me
shy.
his email and set everything
and
rolling.
Hooked you up with the right guy, right?
Yeah.
So like that is really, really cool. As of this, of course, someone said, "Oh, look what they announced." No, they didn't announce it. They DM'd you, and then you made a case about it. Maybe someday they'll have graders notes. I don't see that in the future anywhere near what this guy is thinking that was announced. Like maybe in a situation where like if that Wemby card, that 101 would have came back like a PSA 6, Nat Turner would be like, okay, this is why it did. They would use that information. I don't think they're going to be putting graders notes on every card. Every random ultra modern base card that you send in is not going to get graders notes sent to you. So just calm down. That did not announce anything. Okay.
Yeah, you just look at that. I mean, just to start off with, this whole situation, I think is ridiculous. I am absolutely certain that Nat did not expect Mr. Turner did not expect this to end up being a public information, right? Because he was DMing. Well, I feel we're calling him Nat because I've never actually met him. So he never expected this to make it public. It is, but first name.
Do you think he calls you Mr. Pahowick?
I hope so. But anyhow, but anyhow, no, I feel like he never expected this information to come out, and I agree with you 100%, Joe. There's no way. Like if you think about the number of cards they're grading right now, like
1 million,
right, yeah, like they're not going to be able to do that for all the cards. Let alone if they do that, they're going to be like, well, what about my 2019 Zion cards or whatever, or he's probably not. Was he working 2019? Anyhow, but like they couldn't go back to all these cards all these years. Like there's no way, and people would be clamoring for those. Like it would create such a crap storm for them. And then on top of that, to implement something like that into the system now with all the cards that the database they must have, this ridiculous database of all these cards that is growing by millions or by a million every month. It would just be almost impossible. Probably. I mean, not impossible, but it would take a lot of money and a lot of horsepower. Right?
What if they had an AI program? Their graders have a little headset microphone on. They're looking at the card. They're like, ding in top right corner, scratches and bottom left of front. And it is just like taking all that stuff and putting it there, grade 8. Like, okay, I feel like now with the technology nowadays, like they could very easily do that without the grader having to go, okay, and then type everything into a computer.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You don't even need AI for that, Mike. So I sent you a selfie of me at the dentist the other day, right? And
need a little of the nitrous.
No, need a little nitrous. No, so when I go to the dentist, and I don't know if you guys have ever had the thing where they stick your gums to see how strong they are. I don't know if you've ever done that, but my dental hygienist wears a headset like this, and she literally will go, okay, 3 with mild bleeding, 2 with, and so it'd be the same exact thing. It's just a speak to record technology that they could dump into a database. I think for me, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they do offer grader notes for a price, right? I mean,
yeah. Like, not going to give it to you for free.
Right, exactly, right? It's going to be like the BGS thing. If we have time to talk about it, maybe we'll talk about it, but it's like the subgrades. I mean, you're doing the subgrades anyway. You shouldn't charge for them, but at what point is a company ever going to say, oh, we don't want to make free money? Like, they're never going to say that.
We don't charge for them. We charge less if we don't give them to you.
Right, exactly.
Well, clearly the moral to the story is here, they're not introducing graders notes. But if you have a problem with your card, just tag Nat Turner on Twitter and he'll get back to you. So Smart. Don't do that. I'm joking. Don't do that.
Do it, everyone. Everyone.
I did also text though that this person was so upset, and then they were absolutely okay with when there's a bend in the top corner or whatever, as if they were okay with that explanation for their 6, where they were so outraged at first, but then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that bend in that corner.
Cards.
So for sure.
Look at your effing cards.
Right.
I mean, if you wonder why it's a 6, I'm sure you can find it.
He said, I didn't notice it, but yeah, probably because you pulled it out of a pack and you assumed that it was good and you just threw it in the holder and you didn't really look at it because dirty little secret of the hobby that happens way more than people realize, and that's what leads to a lot of the like
people aren't looking at their cards like EP's looking at their cards before he said
and,
something.
and,
Exactly.
and PSA is making money off it. They are banking on people doing that and continuing to do that, right?
Oh yeah, of course they need them to.
1.3 billion cards, of course they are.
Well, since we're updating stories, let's get to Shohei Ohtani, because there was a pretty big update in his story this week. His former interpreter, Ippei Mitsuhara, it was found that he stole more than $16 million from Shohei Ohtani. What happened was he didn't have access to his account, but he went with him to the bank when he set up his account because he needed the interpreter there to interpret for him. That was the bank account that all his money and all his salary from baseball was going into. And even though he wasn't given access to the bank account information, he knew it because he helped him set it up. So the guy was a terrible gambler. He placed 19,000 bets and lost a net of $40.7 million. And he also bought 1,000 baseball cards for $325,000 on eBay and whatnot, using an alias.
Of course, whatnot would come into this somehow.
He was buying these to sell later at a profit. But back to the betting thing, like a lot of people were like, well, why in the world would anybody give him that much credit? There was a text message that was shown from the interpreter to the bookie. And I think it's pretty clear that the interpreter was making the bookie think that he was betting for Shohei Ohtani. That's why he kept extending him the credit that he had. The investigators had Shohei Ohtani's phone, everything. They said that there is no evidence that he was involved in this in any way. But like that message, because like the bookie was like, well, this is BS, like, because you're cover for Shohei, and then interpreter's like, no, I'm like in big trouble. Like, so I think the interpreter, I mean, if you're gonna steal $16 million from your supposed friend, you might lie to the bookie, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about this. So Shohei ended up losing $16 million because of this guy. Imagine if my man just laid out $120 for Rosetta Stone, right? Could you imagine? I mean, dude lost $16 million. I mean, I don't know the math on that, but boy, oh boy, if I was him, I don't know. Going forward, maybe.
Good point.
Going forward, maybe. I'm curious on what cards he bought. I really want to know.
I really
want to know. Me too. Yeah. Were they all
I guess he bought a
number.
A lot of them were Shohei Ohtani. He
I would hope so.
Also bought Juan Soto, and he bought Yogi Berra. They were some of the ones they listed. But I guess the investigators were.
I was waiting to hear Juan DeFranco.
It might be. The investigators, though, are still like looking into the card thing, so there may actually be more information come out about that. It might be more than we thought.
Could you imagine the living he could have made by just buying those cards, Shohei's money or not, just buying those cards, having Shohei autograph all of them?
Yeah.
And I said this last week, or was it last week we talked about this? I said this the last time we talked about it. You know, like someone's your friend until they're not, right? People are good people until they're not. And all it takes is that one bad bet. All it takes is getting yourself into a hole. And all of a sudden, someone who is a childhood friend becomes your worst enemy. I mean, it doesn't take much. And money is a big factor in that all the time. Like, that's the reason. That's the reason it usually happens. So it's a real shame that this happened to Shohei. And I'll take the conspiracy theory hat completely off. I'm sure he had nothing to do with this. He was trying to just be a good friend by giving this guy a job. I'm sure he could have found any other interpreter he wanted to, right? But he gave this guy a job, and the guy just fucked him over. And it's a shame that it happened, but I mean, I don't know. I vet your friends just as heavily as you probably should. In the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, DTA, don't never trust nobody.
All the alleged leads and reporteds again. Like I don't think any, like there's no court, no litigation yet. Like all the alleged leads and reporteds here. Like there's nothing, like the court has not decided anything. Nobody has been found guilty of anything yet. But the word, once I saw the word, once I saw the word impersonated, when he was impersonating Ohtani, I'm like, man, this guy seems like it was probably a scumbag. Like, and then you also wonder, when did the 19,000 bets start? And you wonder about the descent of this person into this gambling habit. And then all of the
$10 bet, I guarantee you, there was a bet that he made that was $10. And then the breakdown, that's where it started.
And then all of a sudden, like the 19,000 bets, and what do you say, $40 million? Like later, like again, like
that's
you said,
his
like,
net loss.
Like he's like, that's like, really bad. Like you gotta stop, bro. Like you gotta realize this is not. I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good. I gotta stop doing this. But I mean, you feel bad that happened. But then to the point where like it just to 19,000, and then buying the cards with the money too, and then taking advantage of this guy who's a childhood friend. Like it just like, and I feel bad for Ohtani, of course. I mean, he's gonna be fine financially, but to have this happen to him through a friend, and then I feel bad for the guy that, because again, he probably didn't start out this way, but then it ended up this way, and it's a very gross situation in that regard.
Yeah, the loss of a friend is more than this. I mean, in Ohtani's financial terms, is more than the $16 million.
You two is $16 million.
Dude, if you had so much money that you could afford us to steal $16 million,
you wouldn't even realize it. Yeah,
yeah. I'm like, I'm in.
I don't know, maybe 50-50.
That's $8 million a piece. You'd still that's $8 million.
Also, that intro at the front is starting to sound a lot weaker now after you're saying all this. Just saying.
Believe that to begin with? Like, come on.
Wow.
Who are you and who am I?
All right.
Strike. We got to strike.
All right. Okay. All right.
You should.
Right.
Yeah. You'd be striking now. I like it.
After the episode, you can strike until next week. We'll get it all handled. Well, speaking of losing a lot of money, back in February, a case of 1979-80 O Pee-Chee hockey cards were sold on Heritage Auctions. It went for $3.7 million with the buyer's premium. Well, it turns out it still has not been completely paid for yet. Let's see. The guy's name.
Doing some other stuff.
Yeah,
buy some other cards.
Gonna get around. I was gonna pay for it, but the Picard cards came out, and the Brady. That Brady card that we don't know about. That you know about.
Crazy.
You watched the video, yeah.
It's crazy, guys.
But the guy's name is Jack Arshosky, I believe. He apparently paid $3 million toward it, so it wasn't like he totally stiffed it, but he hasn't paid the rest because he is looking for someone who is more passionate about collecting these than he is. Apparently, he inherited some money from an uncle that passed away, and he decided to bid on this. After he won, supposedly he heard from Heritage Auctions that the second place bidder was really disappointed they didn't win it because they were a true collector. And it made him feel empathy toward that person and made him start feeling badly about the fact that even though he has a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, but like he doesn't feel like he's a true collector. And he felt really badly that he won this. So now he is looking for a buyer that will pay the amount of his winning bid. And he paid the $3 million, but he wants Heritage to keep them because he feels like it would be safer for them to have them in their vault than him to have them just laying around the house till he finds a buyer. So, this is not like eBay when you get a message from somebody saying why they can't pay for something. Like, it's totally different, right? I mean, the guy clearly was just like, I feel so badly in my heart that I am taking the potential for a real collector to buy these cards away from them, that I just shouldn't do this. Let me find somebody. We're totally buying this story, right?
Bullshit.
I like this story way more than my kid sat on my phone and then my dog hit the phone with its tail, and then all of a sudden I bid on something for $3.8 million.
Yep,
I mean, thank God it's different than that. So the dude couldn't afford it, doesn't want to pay for it anymore, and he's going to try and find someone to take it off of his hands. I mean, that's what happened. Or he didn't understand there's a buyer's premium and he thought he wanted for $3 million. I was like, oh shit, I need another $1 million.
That might be too, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I call horseshit on the whole thing. And this guy, I don't know, maybe we should do one at the end of the year. Worst people in the hobby of 2024. He's at least top 5 with a bullet, right? I mean, he's up there. This is ridiculous. I mean,
but he's doing it for the collectors.
Oh yeah, sure he is.
EP.
Yes, as somebody who usually is behind people that are doing stuff for the collectors. Like, if you're gonna spend, he's already spent $3 million. Like, I can't wrap my head around somebody being able to spend $3 million, but not being able to pony up that extra $700,000. It just seems
because you inherited $3 million and you didn't realize you had to pay $700,000 more.
But why the F are you spending all $3 million then on this one thing? Like, it blows my mind. Like, what were you thinking? Like, it was
you got caught up in the bidding. Like, it happens to all of us on eBay.
On a slightly smaller scale. Slightly smaller scale.
Joe, I guarantee you, there are going to be people asking to cancel eBay bids because they're going to say, I feel like this should go to more of a true collector than I am. That's happening.
Oh, I mean, hell, I might use it at this point. It's just for fun. Like, yeah, it's just, first off, just on a general scale, just pay what you bought. Pay for what you bought. I mean, it's just so ridiculous to me. Yes, it's happened to all three of us, I'm sure, right? As eBay sellers. Like, this is obviously on a whole different stratosphere than anything that's happened to us. That being said, bottom line, just if you committed to buy something and you don't pay for it, you're an asshole. You're just straight up an asshole. I mean, so he screwed over Heritage. No, he screwed over the person that put it on Heritage.
Yeah.
That's the big problem there. There is an actual seller at the other side of this. And I don't know their financial situation. I don't presume to know anyone's financial situation. But the fact that they're kind of getting hosed over here at this point is horseshit. So I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And this guy's the worst.
Yeah. You got to complete your contractual obligation to buying this card. And then if you want to sell it to the other person for $3.5 million for less because they're a true collector, then do that. But if you bid $3.7 million, you better be willing, like, expect to pay. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with it. Like, I'm sure something could be worked out with Heritage that you could pay them the full amount, but have them keep it for you in their vault until you find another buyer. That's why I call bullshit too, because, like, you're not completing the sale. Like, I'm sure they would charge you a little bit, but I kind of feel like they would find a way where they could keep that for you until you found another buyer. You could just pay the whole thing. I feel like you didn't have the money. You didn't have as much money as you thought you did. It had to be that. And now you're coming up with this, I'm not a true collector. This should really go to somebody that could appreciate it. Like, take a loss on it then. Like, learn your lesson. Like, even if you didn't have the money, you could still, pay the rest of that and still be like $2 million ahead if you inherited the money anyway. But what do I know? I wasn't bidding on it. I was the second bidder. I'm really upset.
Oh, maybe he'll contact you. You're set.
He did, but he wanted 3.7 and I only had 3.6.
because of an inheritance. You only had gotten 3.6 in that inheritance. Yeah.
I had to run another stack sale. Well, do you guys want to talk about BGS? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's make it 2 weeks in a row because we know some of the viewers love when we talk about BGS.
Love when we talk about
love it. So just quickly, they came out with new pricing. They have base pricing now of $14.95 with no subgrades, $17.95 with subgrades, 40 plus business days. Standard of $34.95 for 20 to 25 business days. Express is $79.95 for 7 to 10, and priority of $124.95, 2 to 3 day turnaround time. No membership fee, no upcharges, and no minimum or maximum number of cards that you can send.
That's not changed. I just want to, before I forget to say, that has not changed. So I hate, it's just like they came out last week and said, we're not changing our grading scale. Here's a 2-minute video of that. Same thing here. You didn't need a membership until maybe recently. I don't know. But you didn't need a membership. There wasn't upcharges, and there were no minimum card requirements. So I don't know what they're talking about, but okay.
They like to make announcements that nothing is changing. Clearly,
right.
But
they're just showing that why they're better, why you should choose us. Right? That's the whole point of putting that stuff in that list. But I mean, like, how many people that have a card that they're going to send in for the $125 one are going to send it to BGS? Like, how many people in the hobby right now today are going to use that price level? Like, I feel like this was a missed opportunity to really make a big difference.
One out of every 50 or so, or no, a couple hundred actually. It's probably
worse. You're doing the math right on those grading numbers. I mean, the obvious, the elephant in the room is, why are you charging anything different for subgrades on that low level? I mean, just like, it's almost an affront to have that. Like, if you didn't have the $14.99 or whatever for no subgrades, and you just didn't offer it, and you had the subgrades for $17.99 or whatever, that feels less of a slap in the face. Either charge $14.99 for everything and say, hey, if you don't want subgrades, which would be weird if you're going to BGS and you didn't want subgrades, but if you don't want subgrades, just let us know. It won't be any more or cheaper or whatever. Just let us know. But everything should automatically come with subgrades, and it should be $14.99 for the low level. Then you might actually make some headway, because again, we'll get flamed in the comments by some folks, but there is a market that BGS has. They still grade what was last month, 50,000 cards or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
They're still grading a chunk of cards. So there are still people that like them, regardless if they should or shouldn't like them. They do. And the reason that they like them is probably the inner sleeve and the subgrade. So those are the two things that if I was going to send to BGS, I like them for. And also the thicker cards are graded better than they are graded by PSA. But with this announcement, what are you doing? Just throw the subgrades in for free. There's no reason not to. And I think it would actually make an actual difference in your submissions.
We were texting back and forth about this, and I feel like that $15 price was the price they needed to hit with the subgrades to make a dent. I don't like their slabs. I don't like their labels. I do like the subgrades. I think that's a really nice thing, something different from most everybody else in the hobby. But like, you missed the mark by not making that the $15 price point, like Joe said. Like, that's got to be the number there. That would have moved. I mean, obviously, you're talking about a needle that is 50,000 versus 1 million. So it's not like they're going to compete with PSA. But if you wanted to get people interested in your putting cards in your slabs, $15 was the way to go. Like, and they totally missed that. They dropped the ball.
And it's not even competing with PSA. It's competing with SGC. It's competing with CGC on the sports card side. I mean, like, no one's competing with PSA right now, so that's not even. But you want to just grab market share, and to do that, you gotta offer the thing that no one else offers right now, and that's subgrades. That's if they're gonna stick with their grading system, that's what they should do.
We've talked about this before. You are the only company that offers subgrades out of the big four. Like, embrace it. Like, why are you? even offering a service with no subgrades. Whoever you are that sending the BGS not getting subgrades, you're a weirdo. I don't even want to know you. Don't come near me. Don't talk to me. Don't text. Don't call. Nothing. You're a weirdo. But like, embrace it. How much more work does it take the grader that's already grading it using subgrades to come up with your grade to mark those down and have them put on a label? Like,
it's got to be one checkbox, right? Like one click of a mouse, one checkbox.
Not
That's
even that. Like, I feel like the only thing is like they're not printing it on the label. Like they have the information because you're already grading it based on that.
And the label is spaced for subgrades. Like a label.
Why?
So weird.
It does. Like, just get rid of that crap. Lower your price to 15 and see what happens. Like, Beckett's a disaster on so many fronts. I know this is just one of many problems, but in order to fix all your problems, you got to fix one of them, right? So start with this. Get rid of the no subgrade. Tell everybody we're the subgrades. We'll tell you what your card is. We'll be better. Like, do that.
We're providing graders notes.
Dumb.
We're actually providing graders notes.
Right on the slab for you. But
it's mind blowing. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Yeah. All right. Well, one last thing, since we're already going over time today, I found it interesting because we talk about all the time how people just keep paying for it. Though you complain all you want about what these companies do, but you just give them more money. Apparently, with Panini football this year, without the autographs of Will Levis and CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, we've talked a lot about that too, about has to kind of impact their business not having autographs. Well, limited football, they have a price drop from $320 to $240. That's 25%. Zenith football, they have on sale on their site down from $325 to $225, down 30%. Illusions from $400 to $310 is down 22%. And Rookies and Stars, which is usually a kind of popular one, is down from $395 to $325, 17%. So we're seeing that Panini clearly must have some trouble moving some of their football product this year. Who would have guessed, Joe?
Us, literally.
Oh, that's right. It was us.
I wish I could remember exactly which show, but it was one that I was
episode
in
1
Danville for. No, it wasn't episode 1. It wasn't. You would have assumed that though, but
I think we did talk about it back then too.
We probably did. Who knows? We were talking about Bryce Young. Actually, I think I did mention Bryce Young back in episode 1. But anyway, it was definitely a show that I was in Danville for because I remember talking about it when I was in a hotel room. Like when Fanatics signed these top rookie quarterbacks to exclusives, we were like, what are they doing? And I think we all agreed they're just trying to screw with Panini at this point, right? And I think that's borne out pretty effectively. I mean, Panini has to lower their prices on, with the exception of Rookies and Stars, kind of their like, people aren't really ripping those products. Like they're buying them, but they're not as popular as Select and Prism and things like that. But Fanatics has not done anything with those three quarterbacks. Very little, if anything.
Nothing.
With those three quarterbacks having them as exclusives. So, and I remember us talking about this. All it's doing is kind of screwing over the collector. Fanatics doesn't much care about that because it screws over Panini, which they care about even more. So it is what it is. That being said, I think the bigger takeaway is not just them lowering the prices, but the fact that, remember a year ago, everything would just be sold out. Like there wasn't even product on Panini's website to lower the prices for. Like, so it's even beyond just lowering the prices. It's like they still have product available, which is crazy. You would not have guessed that a year ago.
They lowered the price on impeccable WWE.
Too. I did see
like
that as well.
Dropped a couple $100, I think. So
maybe
we're finally getting to the point where it's oversaturated and too high a price point.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, we'll see when one last point. We'll see when the bigger products come out, like the National Treasures, the Immaculate might be out already. But National Treasures and Flawless and things like that, it'll be interesting to see what those prices are, because that's a very autograph driven product, those two. So there's not going to be a CJ Stroud RPA available in that product.
They're also a breaker product too.
They are much
might not really impact it that much.
I watched some of that Impeccable. I watched a couple of breaks of that. Holy shit, is that bad? Like, the product looks cool, but I watched someone open up a 3-box case, and holy shit, is it bad? Like, I would not touch that stuff if I was a massive WWE mark.
You wonder how much of it is, like, obviously there's they don't have the rookie quarterbacks, which that drives the products, but then also you wonder how much of it is like people are like, hey, wait a minute, like, look at the prices we've been paying, and we wonder if it is a combination of those two things, where and hopefully it is, where people are like, we can't pay $1,000 for a box of Prism, like, I mean, that just
they didn't lower the price on Prism though, EP.
They didn't. But I mean, like, you think about that, like I feel like hopefully people are kind of like taking a second and realizing that. Also, I wanted to say though that, like, as much as Topps is hurting Panini, they're hurting themselves, because if they want to be raising the price of the cards later, like the prices of their products later to meet the Panini prices, like the Panini's dropping the prices. So here's my thought. If I was Panini and I really wanted to, like, stick it to Fanatics, I just make everything $100 next year. The last year that they have all the things, just make it $100. They're not going to do that because
of course you would.
They make way too much money, but like, make it $100. Say, here you go, Topps. Yeah. Have fun with this one. Here you go, Fanatics. Have fun with this. They're not going to do it because they'd lose way too much money. But if I was somebody, like, you know what, we should just make everything $100 this year.
Can I respond to this real quick, Mike? Just real quick. All right. So, EP.
Yes.
The difference is, though, that if Fanatics had these products, Fanatics would have 3 out of the 4 top quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. So that would make a huge difference. I don't think it's really, really hurting Fanatics at all. They're seen as, like, Panini is cratering, and people are going to come and look at their products and see how many exclusives they have. Fanatics has next year or the year after, whenever they get all the licenses, and they're going to say, now we can just charge whatever. I mean, if you're willing to pay that for Panini crap with no autographs, if you're willing to pay $250 for limited with no autographs of any of the top players, imagine what we can charge for that level of Fanatics product. I think that's what they're looking at, and they're thinking, oh shit, we can charge $500 for a similar product because we're going to have all quarterbacks in it. So they might be looking at it from that perspective. And would it surprise you if Panini lowered all of their prices to $100 and Fanatics just bought all of their products and then resold them for like $500? Would that shock you either? I mean, business people like to make money. I don't know if you guys have caught on to this yet. Business people really like to make money.
Well, if you enjoy EP and Joe arguing about Topps and Fanatics, make sure to watch my hot takes on Wednesday, because they might give you a little more. And now if nobody watches it, I'll know why. But, we didn't go 3 hours this week, but we went a little longer than usual. I'm old. I'm tired. I work with children. I got to get out of here.
Wait, is he talking about us? Is he talking about us?
Wait. I don't wait. Do you mean at your real job, or do you mean here, Mike?
I don't know. I'll leave that for the viewer to decide. All right, guys. That was a fun chat this week, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
Adios.